By the month of February, a lot of gardeners are starting to get a bit of cabin fever. Fortunately, here in western North Carolina, in February we usually do get a few nice weather days to let us start to get outside and find some of those gardening chores to catch up on. Now, if you are really itching to get out the pruners, there are some things you can prune right now. If you have grapevines or blueberry bushes, go ahead and get those taken care of. If you have fruit trees, the mature apple trees, it's okay to go ahead and prune. However, if you have young apple trees or peach trees, it's probably best to wait until March before you do those. If you have evergreen shrubs, you can go ahead and do light pruning on those types of things. Do not prune your spring flowering shrubs quite yet though, because you will prune off your flower buds. So wait until those have finished blooming. Another thing that you can do some cutting on is if you have those ornamental grasses or the grass lookalikes like liriope and mondo grass. This is a good time to go ahead and prune those back if they need it before any new growth starts to come up in the spring. You can do a little bit of fertilizing this time of year as well. This is the traditional time to fertilize, for example, large shade trees if they do need some fertilizer. The other thing to think about fertilizing is the spring bulbs that have started to come up. If you did not fertilize them in November, which is really preferable, if you want to fertilize them, you need to do it as soon as they start to come up. Once they have started to flower, it's really too late and you can actually damage the bulb. The other fertilizing to think about is your lawn. I know February does not seem like spring, but if you use a slow-release nitrogen fertilizer, February is actually the time to get that fertilizer on the lawn. Once you get beyond about the 1st of March, then it's getting too late to use the slow-release form of the nitrogen fertilizer. Also, if you have any of those bare areas still in your lawn from last summer's drought that you did not reseed in the fall, about late February into early March is the best time to do that lawn grass reseeding. You can also plant other things this time of year. For example, if you want to plant trees and shrubs, anytime the ground is not frozen or clay soil is not too wet to be digging holes and working in, it's fine to go ahead and plant those types of things. This is also the time that we usually plant our fruits, fruit trees, grapes, blueberries, and your raspberries and blackberries. By February, you can also start getting some things ready in the vegetable garden. One of our biggest challenges often is getting the soil prepared this early in the spring. If you've got a lot of this red clay soil that tends to make clods, which when you work it when it's wet, it'll set up like pieces of brick and will stay with you and cause you problems the rest of the summer, you want to be careful about not working in that kind of soil while it's actually too wet, so you may need to wait a bit. However, if you've got those raised beds that you've been working on the organic content in for a couple of years, your soil probably, even the day after some rain, is probably going to be in pretty good shape where you can actually get out and be working it and get ready to plant some of those very early plantings. The things you can start to plant by late February include things like your English or edible pod peas, and some things like spinach, kale, and even onions. So even this time of year, if you've got garden soil like this that you can go ahead and get planted, I usually try to aim for about the last week of February when I'm getting out and actually getting those edible pod peas planted, or perhaps the spinach. Also, while you are working outdoors, if you've wanted to attract bluebirds to your yard, February is the time that the male bluebirds start to search out their territories and look for nesting sites and actually select their nest sites. So you want to have bluebird boxes ready for them actually right now. So this is the time to go ahead and be putting out new nest boxes or cleaning out the old ones. One more thing to think about if you have been using de-icing salt this winter. A lot of de-icing salt will eventually wash off of your driveway or sidewalk, and if it washes into surrounding plant bed areas or into lawn areas, it can be damaging to your plants. So besides not using any more salt than you really need to, It's a very good plan as soon as the ice has melted and that salt has kind of dried. If you can get out there with the broom and get that swept up as much as you can so that the salt does not wash off of these hard surface areas. Of course, the weather doesn't always cooperate, and there are some indoor things we can be doing now as well. By February, it's time to give your houseplants a little extra care as well. Start by looking them over carefully for any signs of some of those small little insects that can become a problem during the winter months. But also some of those houseplants may have become kind of straggly and leggy during the winter. So this is actually a good time to start pruning things back, let them go ahead and come out and bush out for the spring. But you know, a lot of these plants actually root quite easily just in water. Make yourself some small cuttings and just put them in a glass of water, and a lot of these things will root very readily, giving you all new plants to get a good start on your patio plants or your house plants for the spring. This is also the time to be wrapping up those seed and plant orders. If you are shopping from the garden catalogs or the online catalogs, go ahead and finish up those orders now so that your plants will arrive on time. Also be thinking about checking the garden shed for any repairs you need to your garden tools. If you want things to be ready to go when you need them in the spring, this is a good time to be checking your pruners to see if they don't need some cleaning or sharpening. Don't forget also about the lawnmower. Right now is a real good time to get that lawnmower in the shop, get it tuned up and get the blade sharpened so it'll be ready when you need it in the spring. By that time, the shops will probably be pretty busy and your grass will be growing while you're waiting to get that lawnmower back out of the shop. If you'd like information on gardening in Buncombe County, feel free to contact us at Buncombe County Cooperative Extension.